Good day everyone, my name is Joville from 3NRM1 and I'm here today to discuss to you my chosen journal article entitled Spatial Variation of Groundwater Arsenic in Pampanga, Philippines. So here is my introduction.
Arsenic is a known pollutant present in groundwater aquifers. Chronic exposure to arsenic-containing compounds promotes genetic mutation resulting in an increased risk of cancer, skin diseases, and various damage to other organ systems. Groundwater arsenic contamination is reported worldwide and in Asia. There is an estimated total of 150 to 240 million people affected by high levels of arsenic in countries such as India, Bangladesh, Cambodia, and Vietnam. The Philippines shares many similar geological features with these countries and is heavily reliant on groundwater for consumption. Arsenic poisoning or arsenicosis is an emerging health issue in several regions in the Philippines. The natural presence of arsenic in Philippine groundwater could be attributed to geothermal activity characterized by the leaching out of arsenic from AS-rich rocks in geothermal reservoir and the subsequent mixing of geothermal water with shallow groundwater and even with surface water. There is also evidence presented that clay layer compaction, typical of ground subsidence events, contribute to an increase in arsenic content in groundwater. In this study, the arsenic concentration of groundwater in Central Luzon was measured over a 12-month period to capture the temporal variation during the wet and dry season. And the study aims to know the effects of a lifetime exposure of arsenic to groundwater on human. Number 2, to determine the significant difference in arsenic concentrations in the wet and dry seasons. The municipality of Guagua occupies 48.67 km² of land in Pampanga, Central Luzon, has a population density of 2,400 km² according to a 2015 census and is composed of 4 districts. The climate in Guagua is the same as most parts of the Philippines. The wet season is from June to November and the dry season is from December to May. A total of 493 measurements were conducted throughout the study period. The materials and methods are, first, the global positioning data was obtained using the Garmin Ethrex or GPS. Short interviews with public officials and people living around the wells were conducted to gather other information such as well depth, well age, perception of groundwater and groundwater use. Second is global imaging system. Coordinates were projected to GCS Luzon operated using ArcGIS. An administrative boundary shapefile was provided by the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority or NAMRIA. Water samples were extracted from public and private-owned hand pumps and faucets to be collectively referred to as wells in Guagua. Molybdosilicate tests are used for total silica silicates and turbidimetric analysis is used for total sulfate. Qualitative assessments such as visual and odor inspection of water samples was performed in situ. pH, conductivity, turbidity, ORP, and amount of dissolved oxygen of the water samples were measured using the parameter water quality meter. In results and discussion, these areas are densely populated and are submerged in floodwater at varying depths during the wet season. Groundwater samples range from being colorless and odorless to orange-brown, having a rusty smell and were turbid. The resulting p-value was greater than 0.001, which indicates a significant difference among the arsenic groups relative to the seasons. A plot of average arsenic values for the wet, x-axis, and dry, y-axis, season in 35 wells in Guagua is shown in Figure 3. This figure shows the general higher arsenic values observed during the dry season from the same wells as shown by the location of the most points above the 101 line. As shown in the map, some areas in BSES district recorded mean arsenic values above 10 ppb during the dry season. The commercial districts, as well as pockets of residential spaces, is located in these hotspots. Very low arsenic levels were recorded in other areas of Guagua, which are mostly allotted to agricultural purposes. Rainfall data for Guagua was plotted, along with the average monthly arsenic measurements as shown in Figure 5. To describe the difference observed in arsenic values during the wet and dry season, the lowest average precipitation was recorded in February at 10 mm. On average, 55 mm of rainfall was recorded in the dry season, which approximately 6 times less than the recorded 317 mm average in the wet season. Peak precipitation at 522 mm was recorded in August. There were generally higher monthly arsenic concentrations in the dry season with a peak average recorded in December. The figure shows the mean arsenic level had a decreasing trend going to the wet season and it steadily rose, leading to the dry season. This observation implies that other factors could affect the arsenic levels aside from the rainfall. Other studies have looked into ground subsidence as a likely factor that influences arsenic content in groundwater. The compaction of clay layers in the aquifer causes arsenic-rich pore water to be introduced to the aqueous layer. This increases groundwater arsenic concentration. Guagua and some parts of Pampanga are located in the Delta region north of Manila Bay. A study of the compaction rates in this region revealed that Guagua is generally sinking at a rate of 1.5 to 2 cm Y -1 due to the natural compaction compounded by groundwater over extraction. The impact of groundwater subsidence on the measured arsenic levels is being investigated. As for our conclusion, arsenic test results from wells used for drinking confirm that some residents have been exposed to arsenic beyond the drinking limit. These areas are located where large amounts of pyroclastic material from nearby Mount Pinatubo have been deposited, are undergoing ground subsidence, are reliant on groundwater for domestic and commercial use, and are predominantly agricultural. There was a significant difference in arsenic concentrations between the wet and dry season. High amounts of precipitation during the wet season may induce a dilution effect in some wells. The results of the spatiotemporal study could aid authorities in regulating the installation of new hand pumps in barangays with consistently high arsenic groundwater content and to close down existing hand pumps in heavily affected areas.